Today, we're talking about weed. This is 1 year without weed. Tomorrow is 2 years without alcohol. And I've got a great video coming up for you tomorrow about alcohol. The first year I spent in that, living out of it for an entire year on the beaches and mountaintops in California, starting a marketing company, creating self-belief, getting fit, getting off antidepressants, all kinds of crazy stuff. But today, and that's the next one we're building out to go on some more adventures. But today we're going to talk about this year without pot. Now, alcohol, after that first year was up, I committed to never drink again. I was done. It's not good. It needs to not be a part of my life. There are a lot of people that need to just get rid of alcohol altogether. And it wasn't easy. It's not easy, but it's so worth it. This video is going to be different than you probably expect. But I'm here to not only lead on the things that I have won with and I can truly show people and teach people about. I'm here to discuss things that I'm learning. I'm here to show my trials and tribulations and give you my feedback on my perspective throughout this journey of self-development, which all started with getting into the gym. Now I want to make sure you know there was no intoxicants of any sort within the last year. I quit taking antidepressants during that year, actually at the very beginning, or maybe even a little bit before I quit drinking. It really wasn't in my mind. It was hard, but it wasn't like I said, this day I'm not taking antidepressants. I just didn't refill the prescription whenever it ran out. And this year, it's been completely zero intoxicants for 365 days. I've still had caffeine, still have 4+ coffees in a day. A random energy drink. Usually they're 70 milligram caffeine drinks, which is nothing compared to what they sell at most of the stores. And I've gone to a hookah lounge. I probably average once every 4 or 6 weeks. Just lets me feel normal for a moment. I'm sitting around alcohol all over the place. Doesn't faze me. You know, I made that commitment. I'm done. I beat it, but you always got to be vigilant. But when it comes to pot, I have a lot that I'm thinking and considering and really unsure about. And one of the first points that I want to make is this is a discussion. I am not trying to lead you or guide you on this. This is me talking about my experience. So if you are somebody who has been trying to stop smoking pot, if you see that pot is a bad thing in your life, don't let any of these thoughts or this discussion persuade you otherwise, because for some people, cannabis can be very detrimental to their life. I don't, however, believe that the bad outweighs the good for every single person in every single circumstance. And definitely, things like cerebral palsy and, where people have actual tremors or worse or can't control their body. And, but we're talking about normal use. So on this journey of self-development that I've been on, I have just gone so hard, nearly 4 years since the first day I stepped into the gym. Overweight, out of shape, drunk, divorced, defeated, no self-belief, just despising myself, poisoning myself with alcohol, having true self-loathing, not even understanding what that was or how bad it was at the time. And for me, yes, physical fitness was that first step that began everything else. It's my highest commitment in life, outside of survival, above content, and content is my future, and I will not give up my workouts, my walks, my time that I've dedicated to fitness for creating content. And honestly, I could shoot these videos walking and talking every day. The problem is just making the thumbnail, the title, doing the uploading, optimizing the videos. That takes a lot more time than actually having these discussions. Anyways, so I'm not, however, convinced that pot is bad for everyone in all situations. At the same time, I do believe there are some people that just cannot have it in their life. Now, alcohol was horrific for me. And full disclosure, I worked in the cannabis industry in the past. I've got a university degree, but I got a cannabis master's degree from Cannabis Training University. It seemed like, I was still seeking my direction, and I did work in the industry for a while. I couldn't tell you most of the things I learned in that program. I'm a salesman at heart. I can hustle. I can pick it back up quick, but I don't remember hardly any of that stuff. So I stepped into the gym about 4 years ago, just under 4 years ago, with this brutal commitment that I didn't even understand yet. It was just the first steps in this amazing process. And it has really been a focus of discipline and deprivation, of eliminating any and all things that could be detrimental in any way, shape, or form. I don't eat out. I don't drink. I don't play video games. I don't watch TV. I don't do anything social. all I do is work out, and create. And it is really hard to make the time I need to create. But physical fitness is an even higher priority. And survival, paying the bills, running the marketing company I started while living out of the back of that vehicle, making good money, that is the foundation for everything. So I can't not work. So over time, there will be more and more consistent content, but I'm not going to dial back on the gym. I'm not going to dial back on the income in the marketing company that I built yet. But it's coming. So my initial focus on discipline and deprivation, I took it too far. First, working out 3 to 4 hours a day, 7 days a week without fail, until I had tendonitis on both elbows and both knees. 4 years later, I'm still trying to overcome just a little bit of that. I took it too far. I went too hard. I learned a lesson. Then I got really into this protein sparing modified fast and fasting. I was living off of 1,500 calories a day of boiled chicken and yogurt, and fasting 16 to 19 hours a day, sometimes longer. Killed my white blood cell count. My body was eating the muscles, eating the blood cells. It was unhealthy. I went too hard. I took it too far. Now, this is where I'm having thoughts. I don't think that for myself, being completely cannabis free all of the time for the rest of my life, like I will be with alcohol, is necessarily a positive thing. Now, I'm currently living in a state where, although it's not legal, they have this other stuff called Delta 8 that was terrible when I was selling Delta 9 in Colorado, legally at a dispensary, because that was regulated. This stuff isn't. Who knows? It's not like I'm running out to grab some and just go crazy now. But at a bare minimum, I'm not making that same lifelong commitment right now that I did with alcohol. And looking at it, I think because I have gone so terribly hard with discipline and deprivation, I might have even taken this all to a point where it's maybe just a little bit mentally unhealthy. I've given myself anxiety by every waking moment. I get up every day at 5 a.m. For a long time I was waking up before that, just wake up at 3:30 or 4 to go to the bathroom, and I just was ready to start the day. Go out, get my hour-long walk-in, start creating, then work on my business 8 hours a day, go to the gym afterwards, and get another walk-in at night while preparing everything for the next day, crash out, and maybe I'm getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep on a good night. I see people that I truly admire who have done amazing things, who talk about this level of discipline and deprivation, and I've followed it. I've shown myself that I can do it without fail. Man, that 97-day diet was harder than quitting drinking, and alcohol was the worst thing in my life. And the lesson I learned out of that, there were two things. Yeah, I did go too hard, and I learned some about that, but I also learned I'm a tough, strong son of a gun, and that's not something that most people would have been capable of doing. Hopefully I don't get copyrighted on that sound. So I've proven to myself over and over again that I am going to do what I say I'm going to do. But when it comes to cannabis, because I am so high-strung, I don't take any breaks, I don't do anything social, I just go. I'm starting to wonder if there isn't some sort of a reprieve in my life somewhere. I think a lot of this will also just naturally resolve itself when I'm back in a place where I feel like I truly belong, because, I grew up in Kansas. There are things I love about being home for short amounts of time, but usually 3 months is about as long as is healthy for me to be here, and I've been here now for almost exactly a year since that year I spent out in California. I spent 7 years living in and around the ski town of Breckenridge, Colorado. I spent a couple years living in the Pacific Northwest. I spent a couple years living in the cities in the Front Range of Colorado, and there's places where my heart, my persona, they belong, that are different. And I think that there is some element of reprieve in some way for that. I need to be able to sit down every once in a while and be grateful for the things that I've done and the things that I've got. You know, I had this moment the other day. I have a friend who's an amazing person, started his own business, successful, capable, but he's not capable of scaling, of working with social media, of content creation, of all of these amazing things that I am able to do. And he's trying to put his limiting beliefs that he has for himself on me, because he's had a level of success that I think is great, but is also completely unscalable and quite possibly in real trouble as we move forward. Sorry about the weed eater or chainsaw over there. We're going to keep running it. So, you know, I'm making this video because I want to be brutally honest with everybody at all points. I'm here leading people to get into the gym, to get fit, to get sober. And I say get sober, and now I'm thinking there's maybe some element of California sober in this life. I may not be 100% intoxicant free forever for the rest of my life. Now, like I said, I'll never drink again. It's not like I'm going to be smoking pot a bunch. Like I said, I'm not going out to smoke it now, but I'm not making that lifelong commitment like I did with alcohol after this year. It's just a challenge that I gave myself, something I said I was going to do, and so I followed through with it, which is one of the best things that we can do for ourselves in any way. Commit to something very uncomfortable that even maybe feels unattainable. Now, the pot actually wasn't that big of a deal because I had already beaten alcohol and antidepressants, you know, from that point. So we're not quite 4 years in the gym, but I would say after, you know, around 3 years of fitness, you know, I could really look in the mirror and see a big difference, and it would become my identity. No alcohol, heavy focus on fitness, nutrition, and really developing myself into someone who can have an impact, who can create freedom for himself, who can help others find and see the light that he's found. And I'm going to tell you the truth. You know, I'm here telling you the truth that I'm not convinced that for everyone in all circumstances pot is bad, pot is wrong. Although in the state of Kansas, only the weirdly, slightly genetically modified, different but same version is, or I don't know, this place is weird. But like I said, I'm not trying to be here in perpetuity. I just bought some land out in the mountains. You see my 4x4 adventure rig. I plan on going out, building that out, and building the Comeback camp for men, where I do teach people about this lifestyle of discipline and deprivation and self-development. I think there's a lot there. So I don't know, am I betraying my mission and my direction because I'm not committed to never ever smoking pot? I don't think so, but I just need to make sure that I'm completely honest, that I'm not sold on that. And let me tell you, here's one concern that I have. Although I feel like this has been a somewhat disconnected message, I've gotten really good at conveying messages and having these discussions with you. And that is probably my biggest concern, that if I do smoke pot, that I won't have the clarity to string my thoughts together well, to communicate well, because I do remember getting lost in thought, not being able to stay focused and see things through. So if that's something that affects my ability to communicate with you, then that's affecting my purpose, my real outcome in life, and that's something that can't be a part of my life. So that's where it could potentially be, yeah, this is something I just absolutely can't do. Or maybe it's on vacation once a year. I don't know. But I can tell you, alcohol is one of the worst things ever. And it's interesting when you go through life after, especially in a place like Wichita, where what do you do in Wichita, Kansas? You either go work in an aircraft factory and then raise a family, or if you're a single guy like me, you just go out and drink, especially when you have friends who are DJs in the biggest bars and you know everybody everywhere and you got hookups and, you know, but again, I don't belong here. I'm not staying here. I'm here for now because I'm building amazing things with this client. I can work remotely for them. I just have to make sure everything's in place and working well first. I'm not going to walk away until we finish the mission we've started. So today was just a chat. Tomorrow I've got a beautiful, amazing story for you. All this cool footage that you see on this channel, these little cutaways, like where did that come from? Why is that not here? It's because it's on my main channel. So I've got a story to tell you tomorrow about that first year without alcohol, and a lot more discussion about 2 years and beyond without alcohol. And today, I just had to make sure that I created something at this first year without cannabis, or my 1 year. I have seen through, I have fulfilled my 1 year commitment to not smoke pot. And we'll see. I mean, like I said, I'm not racing out to do it, but I'm not committed to never doing it again. So let me know what you think. Check out the other video. I'll make sure that once I get the next, well, let's hope I remember that once I get that 2 year without alcohol video here, I'll put a card. Maybe I'll put a card to the initial version of it on my original channel at some point in this video. So thanks for sharing this journey with me. I can't wait to continue moving down this path. You're going to see a little bit less content coming out here, a little less consistently, because I'm now still focused on the other channel, plus running my marketing company, plus building my 4x4 camper, and a whole bunch of other things that are happening in my life. So as much as I absolutely am focused and dedicated on this, I've given myself some real anxiety by not being able to crank out enough, and I have to just take a breath, enjoy the journey, be grateful for all of the good things that have come into place, even though I'm frustrated that those good things are preventing me from putting time into this, which I care about, which is my purpose. But as long as I keep moving forward, just like the gym, just like nutrition, just like quitting drinking, keep moving in the same direction. And I just got to remember, I just got to remind myself that great things aren't supposed to happen immediately. They're supposed to take time, commitment, consistency, and they're great, they're amazing, because they're hard, because they're challenging, because most people can't do them. They can't see things through that long, especially in the world we live in now, where they make it so easy to just follow directions, except that world's getting harder and harder. So this is a great time for us to all start getting uncomfortable, trying and learning new challenging things based on the world from 2025 and beyond versus what was before 2025. Love you guys. If you made it this far, sure would love if you hit that like, hit the subscribe, leave me a comment. Let's have a discussion. I'm being honest with you here, and I'd just like to hear what your thoughts are, maybe where you're at in your journey, and just let me know what's on your mind.